What are other successful people doing to reach their goals that you aren't doing?
How do you become the person you've always dreamed of being?
You've come to the right place where all of your questions will be answered.
We are Jodi
and Jess Plishka, and in our 2 segment, Turning Obstacles into Opportunities, we sit down with amazing people and discuss their most epic challenges in life.
You'll discover the driving force that propelled them into greatness and what strategies and tactics they used to get there.
We want to inspire you to believe that if they can do it, you can too.
Money, free time, happiness,
goals. Welcome to the Jodi and Jess Show, a mad
mom and daughter
podcast. Hey guys, before we get started, if you're seeking a life that is more powerful and bigger than anything you ever dreamed was possible, check out our Master It All Goal Achieving Program and private coaching, which are designed to help you break free from your toughest struggles,
allowing you to wake up feeling motivated and inspired to start living the life you've always dreamed of living.
If this resonates with you, you can visit our site at jodijess.com. That's JODIJESS.com and click on the classes page for more information.
You can even set up a free 20-minute breakthrough session to see if working with us is right for you.
Now, let us introduce you to our next amazing guest. This week, we are chatting with #1 best-selling author and host of the Talking with Our Angels TV show, Swami Tirtha.
I started to see a pattern that what we talk about as an obstacle is the opportunity to look within ourselves for guidance. It's an obstacle because the answer is not out there. We're calling it an obstacle, but it's just a change of direction.
Swami Tirtha is also known as the Orange Cowboy, and he's the host of the TV show Talking with Our Angels and also the co-owner of the TV networks Guiding Star Veterans TV and Children's Success TV.
He is the #1 best-selling author of the Ayurveda Encyclopedia with over 30,000 copies sold. He is a pioneer in Ayurveda. Today, he integrates all areas of his training, blending them into TV and film projects to help spread his message of joy, wellness, wealth, and peace for all humanity.
Make sure to stay tuned to the end because Swami has an incredible giveaway for you.
Joy, joy! Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share with your friends because in the next few weeks, we're going to have some really amazing guests that you won't want to miss.
And on that note, let's meet today's guest,
Swami Tirtha. Hello and welcome to the Jodi and Jess Show, a mom and daughter podcast. I am Jess Plishka.
And I'm Jodi Plishka.
And today we have the amazing Swami. Swami, how are you doing today?
Joy, joy, joy. It's such a great...
Oh, I have to do it. Joy, joy, joy.
I
love that.
It's contagious, yes.
Swami, I think, is one of our favorite guests that we're going to have on because the powerful energy. And Kitty is here and saying, hi, Swami. Angels
hey,
just,
Kitty.
I don't know. He never has been around and they just he's drawn to you. Look at that.
The best shows are the ones where pets show up.
That's all funny. And we're so excited to have you here. So thank you for coming.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm excited. You guys have great energy and ready to rock and roll.
Yes, you got it.
Yes. So in today's segment,
it's 2, so turning obstacles into opportunities. And we want to teach our viewers that if you can do it, they can do it too. So the one thing that we like to ask is, what obstacle or obstacles did you overcome in your life that brought you to where you are today, bringing you great opportunities?
So how many hours do you have for me to tell all the obstacles? I mean, from being shy to dealing with my parents' death to just everything else that we all go through. I think for me, it started off, I was born in the late 50s. And back then, there was no talk about meditation or yoga, none of that.
Yeah,
I mean, look at today, yoga's on every corner. You can get yoga and meditation right on the internet.
Right.
Back then, none of that. And so I started, when I was around 10 years old, I started having dreams that I'd be separated from my parents, which is for a 10-year-old pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And over the decade, I'd have different dreams. Like in the 60s, when we were in the Vietnam War, I dreamt as a high school student that I was in the Vietnam War coming home and my parents moved and they didn't tell me. So I'd all really kind of weird dreams. And then my parents were in a car accident accident and they died when I was 17. And it all came true.
Oh my goodness, I can't imagine.
Well, for the longest time, and only until I'd say in the last 3 to 5 years, I never really understood. I thought it was like, well, that's people say I have the gift of prophecy. I have the gift of psychic intuition. I never call that a gift because, you're saying, oh, this bad thing's going to happen in the future and there's nothing you could do about it. But lately I've been thinking, if not for that preparation, I needed a full 10 years of a cushion. That's probably what saved me, I'm thinking. So I put it in, in terms of turning obstacles into opportunities.
I can imagine. And I like how you said it's really important because things that happen to us in our past, like you said, I think they are in the terminology angels. And for those people who, don't really believe in angels, or I just want to put this out from a psychology perspective that the world is made up of energy and it's how you decide to view that energy. So a lot of, Christians view energy as God and spiritualists, view it as maybe angels or whatever. And then maybe a scientist is just going to view it as, in quantum physics, the pure energy. But everybody needs to really stop and take a deep breath, have an open mind while you listen to this show and think of this from the perspective of taking that energy and coining it. I mean, it is angels. I mean, we are absolutely narcissistic to believe that we are the only ones on this planet, on this plane, that there are other planes out there. And so when Swami talks, it's really important that you keep an open mind because what we're talking about is truly based in science. So from a scientist perspective, I just have to lay that out there. So please continue telling us more about those struggles and challenges and how they molded you. And so how did you move forward?
Yeah. In fact, I was in college for radio, TV, and film, which was the thing I loved the most in life. But after that experience, the only thing I was interested in was that, for lack of a better word, mysticism. Nobody talked about this. I was walking on campus one day and they had a poster up, is sign up for or come to a free meditation class. And it was like, yeah, okay, and everything they talked about was like, oh man, that's exactly what I want to know. And I was watching Star Trek and ESP on shows on Star Trek. And I was like a sponge just soaking all this in. And this became my why. I had to learn about this. And radio, TV, and film just paled in comparison. So I transferred colleges. I went to a meditation college. I became a meditation teacher. And for the next 5 years, I was either teaching or meditating like 3 hours, 6 hours a day all around the world. So the positive, the turning an obstacle into an opportunity, I probably would have never gone that route if my parents were alive. And I certainly wish they were. I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but their death allowed me the freedom to break out of the traditional role of a son and go explore a spiritual calling.
I think that's really amazing. I didn't even know that you really could go to a meditation school. I mean, that's so interesting. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, at the time, I'm pretty sure they're still in business. The TM group, the Transcendental Meditation Group, and they had a college in Iowa called the Maharishi International University. It wasn't really a meditation college, but they taught all their subjects in terms of how they all interrelated, science and arts, and how there was this spiritual link between all subjects, I was always fascinated.
I just have to go back because I don't want to go over this. It's too important. When you talked about the fact of your parents passing, allowing you to move forward, I mean, I totally relate. And I think that a lot of people out there are going to relate too. And I just encourage the audience members to really think about things that happened to you in the past. Like, I lost my hair. Had I not lost my hair, I don't think I ever would have had Jess, and I would never be here speaking with you today. So it's like, look at your obstacles that you're going through and really try to have a positive light to see what positive can come out of it. And I know a lot of people are sitting there saying, there's nothing that's positive that can come out of death. Like you, there's nothing positive, and you think that way. But realistically, something positive can always occur if you look. And I'll let you talk about the angels and guiding you, through that time, Swami, because that's your expertise.
Yeah, and you both are inspiring me to say something I have not talked about in that story. When those big obstacles come in my life, like when I lost my parents, I tried the traditional stuff. I went to the therapist. I tried drugs. I tried anything that was around that either everybody accepted or, the mainstream accepted therapy, the subculture accepted drugs, but none of them really worked for me. So it's not like just I went, oh, obstacle, let me do this now. I went from where I was and I felt my way around and nothing worked. And then this presented itself.
We all have a path and a direction. And I always like to tell people, your life is like a fork in the road. It's a journey, it's a path with a fork in the road, and it's up to you to make the decision to take that right path. And so go to the right, guys, go to the right, because the right path is the right path. But with you, the irony behind everything is you started in radio and TV and film. So, and look where you are today. I mean, you're the host and co-owner of the TV network, and you do your Talking with Angels show, which is one of the greatest shows that's out there, really helping people be able to understand that. So isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
if you hadn't
really
done that,
came full circle, right?
Yeah, I had to go all those years into the spiritual realm because that's what our inner self, to me, I realize is the most important thing. And God said to me, or showed me, reaching the masses. And I said, well, how can one person do that? And then he introduced me to a Hollywood producer, movie producer, and then I got the TV show. And it's like, oh, okay. So I can now take my love of media, which is a great way to inform the masses, and share the spirituality. But here's the thing, share it in an entertaining way.
Right.
That's the key. Right. Absolutely.
So much seriousness in everything that we do. From, when I taught Ayurveda, it's just straightforward meditation, straightforward NLP, straightforward hypnotism. But now we can do it in a fun way that you're not teaching, you're having fun, and people will laugh and they'll feel better just from that. And then it might also seep in that, hey, okay, that could be an option.
Right. I think the world needs more joy, right?
I know. And we love Swami because
I know.
Swami always says joy, joy, joy. And that's
Joy,
I love
contagious.
that. I know. I love that.
And if just one person listening is feeling that movement of that energy and that spirit among them, then I think this interview is like more than worthwhile. So that's why we do it, to try to reach people who need that extra, that extra hug for the day. So anybody out there, we're reaching through, giving you big hugs.
Joy, joy, joy.
Yeah, I love that. So through all of this, I mean, people are probably thinking, oh yeah, well, I can't do that though. I mean, Swami he's miraculous and he's a Swami and he can move through all this, but I can't do that. And my loved one just passed away. And can you kind of explain some of your internal negative blocks that you had along the way, and maybe kind of explain like how you made it through that to kind of encourage other people?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I mean, I'm just a human being, and I wasn't a Swami at 18 or 17. And I'm still going through this because if you keep taking chances and risks in life, you're always going to be brought back to those choices, that fork in the road. So for me, I remember after my parents died, for the time I was living in the same house, and I would be outside mowing the lawn, and I'd be thinking of all these angry, I'm this and that. And then I said, you know what, I don't know why I did this, but I started thinking, well, if my parents had to go, that was the best time for them to go, because they saw me graduate high school. They saw me get into college. They saw me hit the dean's list, which was like, I was a B- B student. And they saw my brother get bar mitzvah. So all the highlights in that cycle of their lives, they hit. I don't know why I thought the positive, but that put me in a place where I was thinking, if they had to go, in a sense, I'm grateful that they went at a good time, so to speak. Weird things like that.
Yeah. So you said you decided to think the positive, but I think everything happens for a reason. Like, what made you decide? I mean, were those little angels on your shoulder? Seriously, when you look back, think about it. There was something that entered into your subconscious mind that allowed you to be able to feel that way. I mean, there was some power, there was some higher power. And I think that that you had a predisposition to feeling that power. So I think maybe at that time, did you ever think that it was like your parents there on your shoulder, like encouraging you, but you didn't know how to decipher that because you weren't intelligent enough or educated enough about the meditation. You weren't just Swami, like you said. So it could have been your parents.
These wouldn't even have been words in our lexicon. For me, what I'd say, I was out there mowing the lawn, and I love nature, and I love the smell of fresh grass, and that made me happy. But certainly at this point, I'd say the angels could have been talking to me. My parents from heaven could have been talking to me. But back then, to speak to every person who's in a position like I was, it didn't even matter. I guess I just had I had enough of being angry and sad. It's easier to be fun and happy, or at least grateful.
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To be negative. It really does. If you think about energy, it's like negativity, positivity. It's like, I always tell people, you have a choice. You could laugh or cry, and you might as well choose laughter because it causes less wrinkles, right? And truthfully, it does, because it takes so many more muscles to frown than it does to difficult to smile. So I'm going to tell you a statistic that is staggering. You won't even believe this. Do you know how long it takes to process death? Do you know how long? Take a guess.
Years, I'd say 6 to 10 years.
Right? People think that. They think that that's what it takes. It takes 3 minutes to process death. 3 minutes from the time somebody tells you something happened, you process it through your mind. It takes 3 minutes. It's what you choose to do after those 3 minutes that shows the character of who you are. And that's why back in the day, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross came up with her 5 stages of death.
Right. So yeah, that denial, anger, bargaining.
Until they hit the acceptance phase. That's psychologically the way people feel. This just happened actually to a friend of ours who got married after 6 months, found the love of her life after her husband passed away. And everybody that I know is like, oh my goodness, how could she do that? How could she betray him that way? But it only took her 6 months. And I mean, she still loves him and cares about him, but she was just able to move on. I mean, for somehow, some way, she was able to move forward where other people, it's going to take them 10 years. I mean, it can take people a lifetime, but it's your choice. Believe it or not, it's your choice how you process that. You can choose to work on retraining those neural sequencing in your brain of how to believe. And after 66 days, you can actually change that behavior, those habits, and be able to move forward. And when you said about therapy, I encourage people as a therapist to go to therapy, but I also encourage people more than anything, grab a piece of paper and a pen and not your computer, because I want that pen, which is physical, tactile with your fingers, and then that sensation of writing on a piece of paper, start writing down your thoughts. By writing it down, you're activating more senses. You're activating your touch, your sight, and you're actually writing things down, and you're going to be absorbing your words. So when you're really depressed, write something down. And then when you feel a little bit stronger, go ahead and read what you wrote. And then you can kind of decipher what you wrote and how you were feeling at that really low time. And you can do something called self-therapy, which is a cheaper way than having to see a therapist. But I think that that's real important. I like to interject to have everybody. You're 40% more successful just by writing things down because your brain knows how to direct it. But going back to you, because your story is super important, I know that our listeners are saying out there, Swami, how in the world does a person become a Swami? And I know you've told me this story before, so if you wouldn't mind, could you share?
Yeah, being so wrapped up in Ayurveda, in the meditation and then Ayurveda, I think every time for me, as we're talking, I started to see a pattern that what we talk about as an obstacle is the opportunity to look within ourselves for guidance. It's an obstacle because the answer is not out there. We're calling it an obstacle, but it's just a change of direction. And so even when I decided I'm going to go to India, I'd leave my job and just sell everything and go to India. So that's what I did. But it took a lot of internal work to say, well, if I don't make a change, it's a depressing life and I know where I'm headed downhill. If I do make a change, I have no clue if it'll be any better, but at least it's a possible better. And that was what led me to quit my good job and go to India, where I met my guru, a spiritual teacher. The second time I was there, about 2 years later, he recognized me as a Swami. And this was after the 5 years of meditating with the meditation group. So it's not like it was just out of the blue. I mean, he didn't really say anything. He didn't say, do this or do that, or don't do this or don't do that. Just, yeah, you are.
And I know there's more to this, so keep going, because somebody just doesn't become a Swami.
Yeah, well, it was a funny situation. When he was alive, he would support the local elementary school economically and things like that. So at the end of the year, they had a big children performance. And I was there at the time. And we were watching the performances. And at the end, the principal comes up to me and says, the children would love to hear from an American say something. I said, sure, And so he stands up, he says, we now have a Swami from America. And afterwards, when we were back in the ashram, I was laughing with my guru and I said, he called me a Swami. He goes, oh yeah, you are.
Wow.
What? So that's really all it was. And then only years later, now in India, Swamis wear orange like this. Well, we wear orange robes and orange head caps and things. But he never said to do that. He didn't say, don't do that, nothing. And when I was home, after probably a year or two, I just started seeing orange in my head, the color orange. And it was like, oh, this is so delightful.
Oh.
And one day I went to the Gap and they had an orange t-shirt. And I said, oh, look at that. Came back a few months later and there was an orange hoodie. I said, look at that. Little by little, the universe was providing me with joyful orange. And so my choices were really really for the joy and not because of a dictate of any kind.
I love that. And you even have an orange car, right?
I do.
God, that's so
I love that.
awesome.
I love that. But I'm gonna poke and prod just a little bit more
Sure.
because it's more than you just being called a Swami. But take us through your journey. I want people to understand, because I know this story. You spent years meditating, and you meditated with, I mean, all around the world with different, I don't want to put the words in your mouth. So could you tell us? I mean, that's what led you to become a Swami, right? So
Yeah, well, the thing was, I needed to understand the truth about life. How did I know my parents were going to die? Who was telling me? How is that possible? This was not in the lexicon. It was not conversations we had. And so I basically had the freedom to commit myself. My parents left me a little money so I could go off and meditate, not have to think about money. Rightly or wrongly, I just both feet jumped into the meditation. And I just felt I needed to go away for, I thought, 3 years to work things out. That's what was in my head. Let me go away for 3 years and work things out, figure things out. And it turned into 5 years. But in those 5 years, I would be meditating in different countries, an hour a day, at some point 3 hours a day, sometimes 6 hours a day. And then one day I heard what I call the voice of God say, okay, time to come home. And after 5 years, I said, home to what?
yeah, right.
And I wound up back home in the TV field again, because that's all I really knew. I worked for public TV. I worked for network television. For another 5 years, I was making good money, but very empty inside, because there was nothing about the spiritual development for me that I enjoyed, that was food for me. And so that's when I had learned Ayurvedic medicine, which is from India, the natural, it's a tailor-made form of healing with foods and herbs and colors and aromas and lifestyles. And so I said, you know what? I've learned the Vedic astrology. I've learned the Vedic wellness system. Let me go to India. I just feel to go to India. And so I left everything. And again, that was a huge fork in the road for me, huge decision, because I had 2 cats at the time. And I had to give them away because I didn't know if I'd ever come back. And it was a rainy, stormy night. And I felt like the worst person in the world. And I could have, she said, you know what, never mind. And I said, but if I don't go now, I'll never get back on this path. And so I bit that bullet and went to India. That's when I met my guru. Yeah. Then we would meditate 3 hours every morning, 3 hours, 4 to 7, and then 4 to 7 in the afternoon.
So that is how your journey became, with a lot of practice, a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice, but you followed your passion, you followed your dream, and that's what got you here today. So I have to ask the question that everybody out there is asking. So you host a show called Talking with Angels. Right. So people are like, really? Does he really talk with angels? Like, people, once again, I'm going to put the little preface on there from a scientific standpoint, energy, people who are super empathetic, people who can, really sense emotion, sense feelings. Like, I'm a true empath. That's why I think what makes me a good therapist, and when we work with people on our coaching, I really understand how people feel. Like, I can get down to that. And I know Swami said to me, well, maybe that's your angels. Like, I may have that ability, and I never really thought of it that way. But can you tell us about angels? I just had to preface that because we know you and we know this is real.
Yeah. The funny thing is that the latest research that I found is like 80% of the world believes in angels.
Oh,
so
beautiful.
Really more or less talking to the choir here.
Right.
And I mean, whatever you call that which is greater than us, whether it's God or wisdom or ethics or angels or spirit, higher source, it really is, to me, it's semantics. Call it what you like. What I find is that I've always been a go-to God. Just go to the number one person, forget the middlemen, forget the middlewomen, just go to the boss and say, all right, let's have a direct talk here. And at one point, God said to me, I'd like to introduce you to the family. And he put the angels in front of me, and in different cycles, and more and more. And then about 3 years ago, I was at a place called Lilydale, which is a mediumship camp on the western side of New York near Buffalo. And one of the mediums said to me, oh, I see this giant angel behind you. And they said, when you were very young, you drowned twice, and they pulled you out and saved your life. But each time you drowned, you went to heaven and brought the light back with you. And your mission on this planet is to share the light with everyone. And you are, and keep doing it. And I sat there for probably 5 or 10 minutes trying to figure out, when did I drown? And sure enough, I had 2 neighbors. This was pre-second grade, 2 neighbors face to face on different sides of the street for whatever reason. They both had overground pools. And both times I went underwater. One time I fell off a tube. The other time I went down the slide head first. And I opened my eyes and freaked out. And the next thing you know, I was out of the water. And so I said, okay, Angel, that happened. You knew it. Who are you? And I heard Uriel. And I go, yeah, but Uriel's a big name. Who are you, Uriel? Who are you? I said, okay, you're Uriel. So Uriel is my guardian angel. And that lit me up because I have had my connection with heaven on this planet for real. And, as a child, I used to go around saying, oh, nothing ever happens for me, and I may have been saying that about, somebody who won the lottery or was a movie star. But what I was saying was that life, that light, I forgot that I was connected to it. And once that experience happened, I came back and my friend said to me, you're a totally different person. So my connection to the angels from that point on was just on fire, just lit up. Yeah.
Wow. So I'm sure a lot of people have this question as well. Are you able to see a physical manifestation of an angel? Like, do they have a certain appearance? Could you explain what that experience is like?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'd say it's different at different times. I don't see an angel like I see you in the physical realm. I'll see an angel in the clouds. I'll sense them in the car with me. Sometimes I think I sense an angel visibly, energetically, but then I freak out. So if I was going to see it like 3D, I freak out before it happens.
Sure.
I'm trying to say, okay, help my heart so I don't freak out because I really do want to see it. Other people have had actual visions of angels in their head. So different people have that in different ways.
Sure. So have you ever, after your parents had passed away, were you ever able to see them like in another way as you got older?
I love this question. Thank you for asking it. I used to think after my parents died, and because there was this whole mystical thing about it, I had the sense that my parents were still alive in Canada where they were in the car accident because I saw them in my mind in Canada having a great time. And I thought, well, maybe they just didn't want to be around me and they're deciding they have a new life in Canada.
Oh, no.
But now here's the cool thing. Once I started to understand and get proof that people live in heaven and they can talk with us and they tell us stuff, that's when it dawned on me that my parents are telling me from back then, telling me we're fine. We love Nova Scotia so much. We're in a Nova Scotia looking heaven and we're having a great time here. We're alive in heaven.
Wow. It must have been such a happy feeling for you knowing that they were happy where they were and like you don't need to worry and feel that sadness that they're gone. I mean, yes, they're gone in the physical world, but they're always in your heart and you can always think of them. And I mean, they're happy where they are. I mean, that's so beautiful. That's really amazing.
This goes back to the mowing section too. If I was feeling bad, I was feeling selfish. It was about me. But when I thought about them and their happiness, that made me feel better. In other words, when I was thinking, why did they leave me and blah, blah, blah. When I was mowing the lawn, it was like, but that's me. Look at them. They had the greatest happiness. And so knowing that they're happy in heaven makes me feel better. And if I say, but what about me? It's too small of a thing to really become a drama that weighs me down anymore.
So before you had mentioned something that was really important, and I think this is how a lot of people feel. You had mentioned that when you saw something, and like an angel kind of coming into focus, you freaked out. You're a Swami. Like you're in touch with yourself, your energy, your meditation. And by the way, meditation, just so people understand, what it really does is it affects your brain waves. And we have like gamma, delta, beta, alpha brain waves. And typically right now, like speaking and listening to this, you're in a beta wave. That's just the normal. But what we do is it's like driving a car. And when you're meditating, if you aren't meditating and you're going full force, you're going so fast, it's like driving your orange sports car in first gear and going 60 miles an hour. People burn out, and that's how they get heart attacks. Stress is one of the biggest killers, and 95% of heart disease is caused because of stress. But if you learn to meditate and lower your brain waves and get into more of an alpha state instead of like the gamma, which is like the Hulk, he has the gamma radiation. The gamma waves are those really hyper waves. It's super important to drive that sports car, put it in fourth gear, get it going as fast as you can. Listen to that engine hum. It's nice. The wheels are super fast, but you're going slower. And that's what an individual does when they're doing that meditation. They're bringing themselves down into that alpha state or those different brain waves. And then what happens is we can access our conscious and our subconscious because we only use 5% of our conscious mind, which means 95% of our unconscious mind is untapped. So what meditation allows you to do is to tap into that other 95%. And so that's why we meditate, to be able to learn to control. And you can learn to do that too. Anybody can learn to do that. As a matter of fact, in our Master It All program, we have daily brain training activities, which is listening to these tapes, and there's 5 of them. and I walk people through a meditation. I walk them through a hypnosis, the relaxation, contraction, positive affirmations, subliminal. And it's something that is so powerful to help people be able to control their brain. But going back to my original question about you are an expert, and you actually said the words, that you were freaking out, like you want to try to slow your heart down. And I think we're just not equipped as human beings to see people from the other realm because of that. I mean, if Swami's going to freak out, I was like, hello, this is your expertise. So can you explain a little bit more about that, or let's talk more about that?
Yeah, a peace of mind is peace of mind. And if you're still always trying to grow and test yourself and expand and experience new things, then we're always coming up against our limited belief systems. And even though meditation was there for me and it brought me peace, I never really looked at the realm of angels. I never looked at the realm of spirits. In fact, in India, they say ignore that whole realm because it's just another realm. You want to come to pure consciousness. You want to come to the state of eternal nothingness or everythingness. And so even by some standards, you're schooled in ancient Eastern philosophies to ignore that astral realm, if you will.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that could just be dogma. I'm not going to judge it one way or the other, but I accept, especially when God says, let me introduce you to the angels. I'm not going to say, no, you.
Right.
I remember I once saw my grandfather energetically appear in my room, and I didn't freak out, but it was still a, huh? What?
So tell us about that. What did you see?
Just sort of a sense, it's almost like a mirage of energy and a knowingness, a recognition. Oh my God, that's Grandpa Guruji,
Yeah,
Really?
wow. That's amazing.
Wow. Did he speak to you or try to give you any messages or?
Well, that was good enough. That jolt of energy was awesome. That lasted me. It still lasts me. It's like ice cream cone.
Oh my gosh. I bet a lot of people out there, like you said, what was the statistic? 85% of people believe in angels?
Something like that. Yeah,
Something.
80.
I mean, I believe it myself because when my grandma passed away, I actually went to the nursing home and it was super sad. I mean, it was probably one of the saddest moments of my life. And I saw her laying there, and she had false teeth. And so they had taken her teeth out and she was laying there with her mouth wide open. And at that very moment, my first reaction was, oh my God, she looks so terrible. I can't believe that's my grandma. And then all of a sudden, I can't believe this happened, but I felt this energy, like if the entire above me was just this warm, pure energy. And at that moment, it's like I had the shivers. And I mean, I'm a scientist. And so I'm telling you this story because it's real. I had this feeling that just overwhelmed me. And I looked back at the bed and it was like something told me, in that split second, that's not grandma. That's her bag of bones. Grandma's above you. Grandma was above me. She was that pure energy source above me. Call it my angel, call it whatever you want. But she was there. And I'm telling you, folks, Jess and I, we have angels in our house, and tell some of the stories.
They like to play tricks on us and some things that just can't be explained, and you sit there all night trying to think about it. Like my mom was in her bedroom and I was in my bedroom, and we heard these 3 loud knocks.
Yeah,
and we went
knock, knock, knock.
Yeah, and we went to each other and we're like, what do you want? Why are you knocking? We never do that. And then we both look at each other and we're like, I didn't do it. Well, I didn't do it. And we're like, stop joking, you did something. And
I'm like, no, I swear to God, I didn't do it. I'm like, why are it's midnight. I'm like, I'm just falling asleep. I'm like, why are you knocking on the door?
And I'm like, okay, that's weird. I'm like, so who's trying to say hi to us? I'm like, is it grandma? Who's trying to? Someone was just trying to say hi. They were just knocking, just let me in. And another time, our picture frames, very heavy picture frames that were on the wall, very sturdy, and you couldn't knock them off if you tried. They fell down, and we stood there and we were kind of like, oh my gosh, is somebody in the house? So we hadn't gone downstairs for a couple of minutes, and when we went down there, one of the picture frames was still swinging, and the moment we approached it, it stopped. So I thought, okay, well, it was still swinging because the other one hit it. So I tried to replicate it, and I couldn't get it to swing for more than 3
seconds.
3 seconds. So I know then that,
and there's no way. Just let's rephrase that. We didn't go downstairs for minutes.
Right.
Minutes. We heard the noise. Minutes later, we were like, what the world was that? Then we went downstairs and the picture frame was swinging. The minute we saw it, it stopped. And like I said, something was doing that. And our pets, I kid you not, people, our pets every single day.
Yeah, they'll look up and like they'll watch, like they'll move their heads very quickly,
They're watching
back and forth. And I'm like, what are you looking at? I'm like, and then we always joke and we're always like, it's grandma.
It's grandma. So we always go, hi, grandma.
Yeah.
We're like, grandma. We're like, we know grandma's here. You know, we're scientists. Come on. You know, we're both, come on, my master's PhD, Jess is working towards her PhD in psychology. Like, we're scientists, you know, but I firmly 100% believe those are angels. They are, because they've been, especially since we moved into this house, and we've been here for 15 years. They've always done things like that for the past 15 years. And they always say pets can see like the ultraviolet rays. They can see like a different plane than we can see. But the way that they're watching something, and it's not just one cat, it's every single one. It's our cats and our dogs. Every one of them see this angel, and it's in our room when we're watching TV, when we're relaxing at night. And it's in that room that they're there with us all the time. It is, you know, and at first I've seen in the picture frames, I've seen images, and there's no other physical explanation from a scientific explanation than that was an energy mass.
Mm-hmm.
So that energy mass, you know, you have to decipher it into something. The energy mass, it has to be, and it's our angel. We have an angel in our house. So that's what we like to call it, our angel. And we really believe it's my grandma Marge. Hi, Grandma Marge. We know you're listening.
Yeah.
So
Grandma Marge used to be famous for cooking something with potatoes or something like that.
Oh my gosh, she made this potato cheese casserole. Oh, did you just get you gave me goosebumps.
Oh.
She was telling me and showing me potato something. So I wanted, so this is called evidential mediumship, where I'm the medium between you and somebody in the afterlife. With scientific proof, how would I get that for you if she didn't tell that to me?
No.
Oh my God, nobody knows about that.
Oh, I have goosebumps over my whole body.
I have goosebumps. Oh my God, I have
that was
goosebumps.
so cool.
Look at my legs.
I know.
I mean, I have shorts on. I have like goosebumps. Oh my
Wow.
God, this potato au gratin thing that she made with potatoes and like a cream soup and then like a cheese over it. And she's Hungarian and German, so it was a very Hungarian dish that she made. So, Grandma, we know you're there. That's so. Oh my gosh. Anything else
with
you
us
hear?
right now? Yeah.
Do you hear anything else from her?
She's letting you know that she's here with you and she loves you very much.
Oh.
And do you guys have a puppy too?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
She's showing me that.
Oh, she used to
So
have her.
there's something new happening. I feel there's something new, like you're going to get a puppy, but if you have the puppy, something's going to happen with that puppy now. She's saying the puppy's going to bring something new is going to happen in the household related to that.
Oh my gosh, we did. We just got our new puppy from the kill shelter.
Oh, okay.
That's
what it is.
Yeah, we got our puppy. We adopted him. So everybody out there, you need a pet, go to the kill shelter, go to your humane society. And he was abused. And so, yeah, his name is Teddy.
Yeah, he's right here next to me.
Oh my gosh, and he's right there. And he's right next to Jess.
Not only is so first her proof was remember when, that she's saying, and I'm with you even now because I know you just got a new dog.
Oh my
wow.
gosh. And you know, that is so weird because the thing about Grandma, when you bring up pets, Grandma loved pets. We used to have horses, and when we were up north, and they would go up during the summer too and have a trailer, and she'd go out there and she'd feed the horses. And she's the only person I've ever met. She'd open her window and the squirrels would come sit on her ledge and they would take it from her. She was the most gentle, kindest soul that you ever meet. Everybody loved Grandma Marge. She's 4'10" of nothing, you know, this little gray-haired lady, sweetest, nicest, the kindest word she would ever say. She never said a bad word about anybody, but she loved her animals. Her animals loved her. And she'd always say, oh, I don't know, animals just love me. I mean, she was just like Mother Nature, you know? So, wow, that you say that about the puppy. I mean, that's Grandma Marge to a T. She's the animal whisperer, 100%. So
she's proving she remember when, and now she's saying, and I'm still with you because I know what just happened.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much for telling us that.
I have goosebumps. Yeah. I don't know if y'all out there don't have them, but if you don't, you should.
Yeah.
And she's saying, Jess, for your future, that you might look into some sort of pet whispering yourself.
Oh.
Or both of you, but...
Okay. I will do it, Grandma Marge, for you.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you're going for psychology. Maybe you should definitely... We love that. I mean, of course, everybody who knows us, we are the pet lovers. We're the pet whisperers.
So your Grandma Marge is saying you guys could get more into pets, incorporate pets into your healing processes.
Oh,
I 100%,
yes.
yeah. I mean, I believe that pet therapy, and I've done a lot of research on that throughout my studies, and I mean, it really does help, and it's healing in a way that, traditional medicine and any kind of medicine really can't perform. It's
Right.
something special. That's why
And
I
now,
always,
by you telling us that cognitively primes your brain to be able to look at the options that you never would have ever thought about before that will exist. So as you move forward, now you have that angel guidance behind you that you will start seeing these possibilities unravel as they unravel. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for
Yes,
sharing
thank you.
that. That's awesome. So, oh gosh, we wish we could talk to you all day long. And as a matter of fact, to lighten things up a little bit before we move on, we always like to play a game with our guests,
Yay.
just like
Yay.
you do the Talking with the Angels. Yay! Ours isn't as exciting as the Talking with
No.
Angels, but
Don't compare. It's
yeah,
all-
that's okay.
Yeah, it's called the Power Word Brain Game. So it's a word association game. So if I say cat, you might say dog or something like that. So we have 5 words that I'm going to say. And then I just would like for you just to say whatever pops in your head or whatever the angels tell you. And so, yeah,
We
start.
share. It's basically like looking at the different mind of the entrepreneur. And you certainly are an entrepreneur with your books and what you're doing. Although you're a Swami, you're an entrepreneur. And our minds think just a little bit differently. So we welcome people out there to play the game as well. And after we're done, we're just going to quickly go over the words with you before we end the show. And then we want to hear more about you and how people can find out about you. So, but before we do that, let's go on and we'll play
right,
the game
so
then.
The first word is success.
Success. Angels.
Love it. Love it. How about happiness?
Happiness. Happiness comes from my angels.
That's the answer. That's awesome. How about wealth?
Wealth is, you can be guided to wealth. My angels are guiding me to wealth. Yeah.
Okay.
But all kinds of wealth. All
Okay.
kinds.
Guiding.
Right. How about freedom?
We have the freedom to listen to what our angels invite us to do. We have free will to give up our free will and listen to what they say.
Absolutely. And how about, last one is knowledge.
Knowledge. Wow. Knowledge is what you experience for yourself, even when it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Excellent.
Perfect.
All right.
So now we're just going to read back to you because I think that this is the most fun part, to see how your mind works differently than, I don't want to call the average person, because people who listen to our program are absolutely above average, because you're really smart to be listening to all these experts and wonderful people and people that want to make changes in their lives. That's the kind of people that are listening. But let's go. So we said success and you said
Angels, of course.
Of
But
course.
so can you explain, how does success and angels, how do those correlate for you?
Well, when I looked at the word success and I looked at it for the wisdom, for it to tell me what it means, it started to glimmer and glow. And then from within it, the angels appeared. So
Oh, I love that.
I love that too.
That's awesome. And then, of course, you said happiness is also angels, right?
Well, angels, whatever they do, like they're playing games with you, if they just bring so much joy beyond, the extreme level of happiness is joy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
And of
love
course,
that. I love that.
Yeah.
Extreme happiness is joy. That is worth saying over again.
yes,
That's awesome.
that's awesome. And then, I said wealth. You said that angels can guide you to wealth, or
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at the actual economic definition, it's only worth having wealth in the context of using it to help people. I mean, obviously you want your basic needs met. You want to have things that you love. You want to keep it simple, but then to have a lot of money, for me, it's like, well, to if I had the money to produce my own movie, I'd be doing that, right? So
right. But it's not because you want the money. It's because you would use that money to do what you love and help other people, right?
exactly right.
Exactly.
So we're going to ask the angels, please help Swami find that money. And if there's people out there who want to donate to help this happen, gosh, we're going to give you all Swami's contact information. And if the angels direct you and tell you that, hey, even $50, I mean, every little bit counts. Or if anybody has any connections out there that can help us, and And, a lot of people say, let's pray on this or whatever it is with your angels, with your energy. If you feel compelled, we'll have all Swami's contact information.
Absolutely. So the fourth one was freedom. And you said that your angels are listening or listening to the angels.
Yeah, where there's a concept of, is it free will or is it fate? And the angels in God, they always offer you, would you like to do this? And usually when they offer it, life is so much better when I say yes. So at a certain point, I said, you know what? I'm having the free will to give up my free will as much as possible.
Wow. Right. Can you give a tip to people? They're saying, oh my gosh, Swami can listen to his angels. How can I listen to my angels?
Yeah. And we have five senses, and we can listen through all five senses. So sometimes I'll hear the words. Sometimes I'll see a picture. Sometimes I'll feel it in my heart. Sometimes I'll have an omen, like I'll say, did you really want me to move here? I moved here, but I'm not sure I did the right thing. I need to sign. And then I'd see this red-tailed hawk fly in front of my window and land on a tree branch, which never happened.
No.
He's got, thank you very much. So any of the senses, we can get validation. And each of us feeling, smelling, you might smell roses and know that, some saint is around you. Hearing, knowingness. So there are just many ways. And most people feel. So if you just have a feeling, like mother's intuition, you just know stuff, you just feel stuff. And that doesn't make sense logically, but it works. And you know that every time you listen to that, you're right. It works out for you. It's the same thing.
So be aware. That is what we're trying to talk today about, being mindfully aware. And that awareness is what's going to help you be able to experience what we're talking about.
And be aware that God, the universe, nature is doing everything in its power to give you a paradise life, to help you live in paradise if you want health, wealth, joy, friends, family, nature, everything. If we start from that concept, I love myself, I'm worth living in paradise, and God and the angels and Mother Nature want me to live in paradise. Where's the clues? Where's the help? How can I make it happen more and more?
And I think it's really important. I think that people need to be open to these experiences. I mean, they're around you, but a lot of people are very closed off. But I think that's why we have our Master It All program, and we help you to open up your mind and be able to shift your mindset and to live the life that you truly want to live.
Right.
Like you said.
Yeah. I mean, figuring out what's your attitudes, your beliefs, your values, being able to get rid of those negative internal beliefs that are holding you back. And a lot of people that are listening are struggling. And it's really important that they know that things that you thought from your past and how you're thinking right now today, if that's not meshing, that's causing you a lot of stress and anxiety. And we need to get rid of that. And the first way to get rid of that is by being mindfully aware, acknowledging that you do have, this negative belief, and stop listening to those negative voices in your head. Those negative voices in your head are clouding out all that positive energy or those angels. And there's a way that you can do this. So for anybody out there who says they want to do it, there is a way that you can be like Swami, not exactly unless you do years and years and years, but the last one that you said was knowledge. And I love how you said experience.
Everything sounds good in theory, but when you try them out, only some of them work for you. As mystical as I am, it's equally scientific. Take the mystical and it has to work for me. And if it works consistently for me, then it's a truism. It may change in 10 years, but for now, this is my truth. This is my...
I love it.
Well, we can't thank you enough for being here and sharing and letting Grandma Marge speak through you. That was the best.
Yeah. That was so awesome. But yeah, is there anything else that you would like to tell the audience?
Yeah.
How can they find you?
And you had a free gift that you were going to offer.
Sure, yeah.
So
If
generously.
you could find me at orangecowboy.com. Oh, orange, the color, and cowboy, like the hat. And right there at the top of the page, orangecowboy.com, it'll be a free gift, a Tibetan bowl sound bath meditation. And it meditates you. So for people who can't get into the alpha waves, the theta waves, the delta waves, those bowl sounds will just wash over you. And so you just put in your name and email address, and then you'll go to a link and you can download them.
Awesome. Can you tell everybody about your 21 Days of Joy online course? Because I love that so much. I really want you to mention that as well, please.
Absolutely. It's very similar to what you said before. We know neuroscience tells us if we do something for 21 days, we create a new habit, a new neural pathway. And so I have a book and a 21-day course where you watch 3-minute videos each day, and it just exercise. It's a meditation. And at the end of the 21 days, you have a greater habit of joy.
Oh, Awesome. Everyone needs a little more joy in their
Everyone
life.
needs joy, so you guys check it out. But we'll put all your contact information in there for everybody. And we just thank you so much.
My pleasure. This is there's just, some people you just mesh with and people are open and want to have the conversation that I want to have. And that's what this was to me. So I'm grateful.
We're
you.
so grateful. And
Yes.
on that note, are the angels saying anything as we're wrapping up here about us and our angel network thing? Or what are you hearing? I want to know. I want to hear something from the angels.
They're giving me the whole cowboy motif. They've got the lasso and they're whooping it up and they're saying you're doing okay at the OK Corral.
Oh, that's cute. You can't pick that out of thin air, ladies and gentlemen. That's so awesome.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
But on that note, we want to close Swami style. So Swami, please do it for us.
Joy, joy, joy.
Joy, joy,
Yes.
joy.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you so much for everyone for listening. We hope you were enlightened as we were. And
You got to remember, life is what you make it.
so everybody make it the best life possible.
Again, thank you, Swami, so much for being here. Please go visit Swami's site, Orange Cowboy, and we will talk to you again next week. See you later. Thank you, Swami. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Jodi and Jess show. Now here's how you can help us out.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and anywhere you'd like to help inspire and motivate someone else to turn their own obstacles into opportunities.
You will be the reason that they changed their life.
Want more inspiration in your life? Please visit jodijess.com. That's JODIJESS.com. Or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Jodi Jess Pod. JODIJESS Pod.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you next week.